Hi, my name is Colleen Harmeling from Florida State University, and I'm going to talk about what is marketing's role in creating value and driving inclusive growth. One thing I'd like to focus on is this idea of morality. We have a natural drive to moralize nearly everything. We categorize things into good versus bad, right versus wrong. We think of ourselves as good or bad. And we anticipate if others will think of us as good or bad based on our own assumptions of what their moral values are. All of these thoughts position morality as central to our identity. In fact, morality is our highest and most noblest motive. It is our most sacred attribute, and it is a feature of our evolutionary design. So in our drive to be communal, morality became this evolutionary system to help us work together and cooperate. It is so central to our self-narratives that is a key, and albeit often implicit, driver of consumers' value appraisals. And so it's often overlooked in how much it shapes our consumption choices. And it's a major factor in how we determine what to wear or not to wear, based on what we think is a good or bad choice for that context. What we buy or don't buy our children is often guided by our own anticipations of others' judgments of what's right or wrong about certain toys. For example, squirt guns versus water balloons, or certain foods that we might provide to our children. Where we put our money in donations, the type of entertainment we seek out, the retirement, is often used to signal to ourselves and others our own moral self-understandings. And so it is this highly important decision criteria that has gone largely overlooked in marketing research. And the interesting thing about this is that we all sort of operate under this assumption that there are universal moral axioms, that there is one right or wrong way of doing things. This is what supports our ability to judge others as right or wrong. This underlies a lot of our marketing research. So research on warm glow often has an implicit assumption of what is right, what should initiate that warm glow. And in this research, there's discussions about moral identity and how moral identity and its salience in someone's overall identity can drive their decisions. But the problem with this is that there are no moral axioms. We are all deriving our own moral standards based on the groups that we adhere to. And so there is another stream of research that suggests morality is socially constructed based on the group you adhere to. And whatever group you adhere to determines the standards you will follow. This could be things like religion or politics, but even things like gender or race. And so these collective influences, they shape consumers' ongoing moral narratives. But what I think is the most interesting part of all of this discussion of morality is that these morality standards become this powerful filter and source of closure in people's identities. So it tells us, yes, this is something I agree with. This is part of who I am. But because these standards vary so significantly, morality is often quite malleable. And this part of how morality shapes consumption is largely neglected in the research. And so understanding how consumers use the situational or contextual factors that they're presented with and the information that is available to them to make a consumption decision and where morality falls into that is an incredibly interesting area of future research. We've seen some developments down this path, so we have quite a few papers emerging on activism and how consumers react to firms' activisms, their explicit statements of a moral stance. We see this in boycotts or boycotts, and we also see this in just general consumption choices and how people see money. But some other future research directions could be, how do consumers respond to these moral disruptions? What influences moral sense-making? So what are the factors and what is the role of the firm in this sense-making process? So how do firm communications serving as sense-giving shape that moralization of this action? Morality requires a creed that provides the scaffolding of what we determine is good or bad or right or wrong. But how do we identify these creeds among our consumers or among our stakeholders more generally? And how can we use marketing surveillance to be adaptive to and anticipate changes in these creeds? And then how does this affect targeting and positioning? So these are just some ideas. Thank you so much.